Humans are the omnivore species who consume both meat and plant products. At one point of time, a section of human population decided to avoid meat to refrain from killing other lives as a token of mercy. That's how vegetarianism first originated in the world. In this video, we are going to find where it originated, when it happened, what was the motivating factor for vegetarianism, and who initiated vegetarianism for the first time. Originally, man was a hunter-gatherer. Except some nuts, most of the gathered food could not be preserved. We know very well that meat also could not be preserved in ancient times. Thus, food security was a big problem in the ancient era characterized by hunting and gathering. Growing human population also made the availability of food scarce. Over a period of time, man raised cattle to ensure food security in the meat side. This happened even before the deluge, and the Lamech story of the Bible is one of the proofs. I had published a video titled Biblical Proof for the Pre-Diluvian Technologies of Tamils. Man had to similarly innovate to ensure food security in the gathering site too. This had to await the deluge. Following the deluge, Murugan, now known as one of the gods of Tamils, saved a group of people from deluge and moved up to the southern Lanka from the submerging Kumari continent. When Murugan migrated to ancient Lanka, the mountains of Lanka were populated by native people, and hence Murugan settled on the ground region. As he was the king of his people, he was called a dragon, meaning the king of the ground people. As a king, he faced an immense task of feeding a huge displaced population. Farming was the option he chose, and he subsequently invented farming technology for the first time. When he decided to clear a section of the forest for agriculture by torching it, he was challenged by the Kuravas of the mountain, and Murugan had to fight them to have his say. That war was called Surasamharam and is remembered today as Panguni Uttaram festival. Murugan won the war and cleared a section of the palm forest by torching it and raised foxtail millet as the first crop using dryland farming technique. The clearing of the palm forest and the subsequent cultivation of foxtail millet is celebrated as Kartigai Deepam festival in Tamil land. The place where it happened was Kadirkamam, situated in the southeast region of Lanka. Kadir, meaning a panicle of foxtail millet, represents farming, and Kamam meant a village. The general name of a mountain village was called Cheri. The general names of forest village of the herders were Patti and Kuppam, named respectively after cows and goats. The general name of seaside or riverside village was called Pakam. Thus, as the agricultural land and the farming profession was brand new in Murugan's times, its village had to be called by a unique and fitting name. That unique name was Kamam, and we would see later how it fits. Having developed the farming technique successfully and producing large quantities of millets which could be preserved for long times, Murugan questioned the need for hunting for food. Murugan was also a cowherd, and hence milk, curd, butter and ghee were also food that people used. Hence, Murugan suggested vegetarianism as a way of life, showing a mercy on other life forms. But he did not make vegetarianism compulsory for two reasons. Murugan's god, Shiva, being the mountain dweller of very ancient era, was a hunter, as agriculture did not develop at the time. The mountain people of Murugan times too had to kill animals for their livelihood. Hence, Murugan suggested his agricultural people to avoid killing for food rather than mandating it. Thus, Murugan became a symbol of mercy, showing mercy on life forms by avoiding killing. A new way of life that Murugan initiated had to be named. Obviously, it was named after Murugan. One of the names of Murugan was Aru, meaning six, which originated from the six-pointed star that he developed as an abstract form of Shivalingam. Aru plus Aram, Aram. A suffix means beauty or character. The character of Murugan was showering mercy and non-killing for food. Hence, a new way of life of agricultural people was called Aram, which meant non-violence against living forms. As the agriculturists of Murugan times did not kill for food, it is obvious that they consumed only plant products. A specific name for the culture of eating only the plant food could be invented. As there was no agriculture on the mountains, the mountain people had to continue killing animals for their food. But the ground people engaged in agriculture. Thus, majority of the ground people fully depended on plant products for their food needs, refraining from killing for food. Hence, the culture of eating only the plant produce was named after the ground. Vegu plus Tharayan plus Iyal. Vegu Tharayan Iyal. Vegu Tharayan Isal. Vegu Tharayan Isam. Vegetarianism. Vegu means majority. Tharayan means ground people. And Iyal means policy. Thus, in Murugan times, majority of the ground people ate only plant products and they were called vegetarians, and it was Murugan who initiated vegetarianism for the first time. Do I have proof for the same? Yes, but we would come to that a bit later. Mercy and non-violence was called Aram, named after Murugan who invented agriculture. What is the opposite of the word Aram? It is Maram. How did it originate? Most of humanity lived on the mountains in those times, and we have seen that those people obviously depended on hunting for their livelihood. Thus, the word Maram would have originated from the character of mountain. The mountain range was called in Tamil as Var. Var plus Varam, Maram, Maram. As usual, the suffix means beauty or character. Even the English word var should have originated from the name of the mountain, Var. Hence, Maram means the ethics of the mountain, which is killing for food, and Maravan means the person possessing the killing profession, and Maravar is a plural form of the same. Hence, as mountain dwellers were hunters, they were called Maravar. Even though Maravar meant mountain dwellers originally, it was later applied to any people who were generally engaged in the killing profession. In wars, the soldiers kill the opponents. Thus, the war professionals were also called Maravar even if they lived on the ground. Hence, the mountain people or the general war professionals were called Maravar. Thus, Aram, Maram, and Maravar are historically important names. Before proceeding further, I would solve the etymology of the English word violence. We have seen already that majority of the people of the cultivated land did not kill for food. The cultivated land was called Vayal in Tamil. The people of the Vayal were the people of mercy. Hence, the word for the culture of killing was coined as Vayal plus Al, Vayalal, Vayalan, violence, violence. The Tamil word Vayal originated as follows. The plant species are called mouthless lives. The word for mouth is Vai in Tamil. Hence, the land where the plants grow was coined as Vai plus Al, Vayal, Vayal. When I am speaking of vegetarianism and agriculture, I can't omit referring to Thevas and Mudaliyars. I said that Murugan torched the palm forest for clearing the land for agriculture. Before that, Murugan fought a war with the mountain Kuravas. Hence, Murugan had an army. After winning the war, this army was involved in torching the forest along with Murugan. As fire is created by rubbing, the infinitive form of the word in Tamil is Tei, which yielded the word Thi, meaning fire. Tei, Thi. And the person who creates fire is called Thevan, that is, Thevan. Hence, Murugan and his army were called Thevar. As the army people were of killing profession, as detailed already, they were called Maravas too. Hence, Thevas and Maravas mean the same, and they are the descendants of the army of Murugan. Hence, Thevas and Maravas originated in ancient Lanka. Murugan was the epitome of love and mercy. Aram, the word originated from Murugan, means non-violence. But his army people were called Thevas who fought the opponents along with Murugan and hence also called as Maravar, the war professionals. Thus, Murugan is associated with both Aram and Maram, the opposite terms. This you might find as conflicting, but not really. Murugan was merciful, but at the same time, he did not shy away from the wars that was thrust upon him. He also saved his agricultural people from the intruding killer dacoits and hence called as protective god. It was the love and mercy on his people that prompted him to fight the enemy. This is very well exemplified by the Tirukural. அறத்திற்கே அன்பு சார்பென்பர் அறிவிலார் மரத்திற்கும் அகுதே துணை. Translated to English by G.U. Pope reads as, the unwise deem love virtue only can sustain. It also helps a man who evil would restrain. Which simply means that love not only promotes non-violence, it can also make us killers depending on the situation. Thus, we should be merciful, no doubt, but ready to face violence through violence to protect the meek. That's the meaning of that Kural. As the Buddhists did not understand and practice this basic concept, Buddhism was routed in India. When Mahayana Buddhism, a poor substitute of the original Buddhism, was also destroyed in India through violence during 9th century, Bodhidharman, a Tamil Lama, left Kanchi and went to China and Japan and taught Kung Fu and Karate respectively as self-defense martial art for every Buddhist there. Had the Siddhas and Buddhas taught the martial art to everyone in India, both the Asivagam of South and the Buddhism of North would have survived and the nasty and disgusting Hinduism would not have originated. We would now see how the Mudaliyar community originated. Murugan and his army torched the forest and cleared the land for agriculture. Obviously, there was the first set of people who engaged in dryland agriculture that Murugan initiated. Being the first to do farming, they were called Mudali, meaning the first. Being the first to do agriculture, they proudly called themselves as Mudali. Hence, Mudaliyars were the descendants of the first batch of agriculturists who did farming in the times of Murugan in ancient Lanka. As they did farming, they had to trade their produce with other land people, namely the mountain people, the forest people, the fishermen, and the people from the overseas through exchange of goods. Obviously, a section of Mudaliyas became full-time traders too in the course of times. After Mudaliyas became full-time traders, the word Muthal, which originally meant first, attained a new meaning as investment. Thus, we have seen how the caste names Thevar, Maravar, and Mudali originated. We have seen that agriculturist Murugan promoted non-violence, mercy, and love on other forms of life. This is a new way of life that originated after the advent of agriculture. The place where this new kind of people who practiced love and non-violence lived was called Kamam, as Kamam means love in Tamil. The word Kamam originally evolved out of lust related to reproduction, but later took a larger meaning encompassing all kinds of love. That's how the first agricultural village was named as Kadir Kamam, where Kadir meant a panicle pointing to agriculture and Kamam meant love. In the times of Murugan, most of the agriculturists were vegetarians espousing love and non-violence, and hence the general name of an agricultural village was called Kamam, which deformed through the Jewish tongue as Kramam or Gramam. We now have to provide the proof that Murugan promoted vegetarianism for the first time in the world. We know that Adinathan of Asivagam, called as Shiva, was a hunter, and his tiger skin outfit speaks volumes on the lifestyle of those times. The next great personality that we know is Murugan, who invented agriculture. The fact that he named the agricultural village as Kamam means that he promoted non-violence. That is further proved by the words Aram and Maram, which we discussed already. Like Sudalai Madan or Muniswaran of Asivagam being called Shiva in Hinduism, Ayyanar, Puranam, and Purkalai deities of Asivagam are called Murugan, Valli, and Devani respectively in Hinduism. The proof that the trio Ayyanar, Puranam and Porkale is actually the trio Murugan, Valli and Deivani would be presented in Tamil version of this video. Even though the Ayyanar temple priests are non-Aryan Tamils, animal sacrifice is strictly not performed in Ayyanar temples, whereas in Muneeswaran temples, animal sacrifice is performed as a rule. This is because Shiva was a hunter. In temple complexes, where both Ayyanar and Muneeswaran are present, they hold a screen in front of Ayyanar when people perform animal sacrifice for Muneeswaran, meaning that the sacrifice is not meant for Ayyanar. This clearly proves that Murugan promoted non-violence and hence animal sacrifice is not performed in his shrines, and as Shiva was a hunter, animal sacrifice is performed in his shrines. Both these are ceremoniously followed for ages to preserve history. There is also a very interesting confusion among Tamils. People who are vegetarians are called Saivites. People who are followers of Shiva are also called Saivites. This confuses the people and they are unable to differentiate the food Saivam from Shiva Saivam. Though both are called by the same word Saivam, we have to find the etymological evolution of both the meanings of the same word. The word Sivam would deform to Saivam and hence refers to the religion that originated out of Shiva. Example, the word Vainavam deformed from Vinnavam, the followers of Thirumal, the astronomer. We shall give many such examples. We shall see how the word referring to food Saivam originated. Plants are locked in space through the roots and hence immovable. But cattle, birds, fishes traverse the space and hence the moving species. The moving species are called Asaivana or Asaivam in Tamil. The people who consume moving species of life are called after the movement as Asaivam. The opposite of any word is created by prefixing the words by al or a. For example, the opposite of Nidhi is al plus Nidhi, Anidhi. Taking cue from this, the opposite of Asaivam was coined by removing the sound A from Asaivam. Thus, the opposite of Asaivam is Saivam.